Modern Western consumerist societies, corporations, and systems subtly and overtly manipulate, nudge, and condition human behavior, especially through psychological tactics, design choices, and social engineering. Hi, my name is Josh here from LiberSeed. I'm going to go through lots of different ways in which we're being manipulated. So, color psychology. Red for urgency. It's used in like clearance sales and emergency calls to action. Blue is for trust. It's used by banks, tech companies, think of Facebook and PayPal, to imply safety. Green for natural and wellness, often used even on unhealthy products to suggest health. Yellow is for optimism. It grabs attention and is often used in window displays and children's brands. Black is used for luxuries, used to signal exclusivity or premium value. Think of like Apple products and Chanel. Subconscious product placement is another way of companies and corporations and societies manipulating to produce a different outcome. And remember, this is all for money. So the whole point of advertisement and everything that we're discussing here is so that companies can produce more profit. And it's not necessarily for you. So subconscious product placement, items placed at eye level or in a prime walking path within the store. Sugary snacks and toys usually go near like checkout aisles to encourage like impulse buys, especially for like children. They're not going to be thinking it as much. They're not going to be thinking about what's the long-term effects of anything I'm purchasing. So they're an easy target. Essentially, goods placed at the back of the store, essential goods placed at the back of the store. Think of like milk, bread, and so forth. You've got to walk past everything else just to get there. So the supermarket design psychology is no windows, no clocks. It's to make you lose track of time. You can just spend hours upon hours walking through these massive supermarkets and malls. Slow music encourages like longer browsing. Free samples to create a subtle obligation to buy. The idea there is that you're testing something, but the fact that you've already taken it and you've not exchanged anything for it, you feel like, I should probably buy this item. Aisles laid out to guide you through maximum product exposure. It's not a convenience. It's not about trying to get you to the whatever you want to buy, or people buy the most, or what's healthiest, what's nutrition, or what's going to help you stay healthy, fit, or whatever it is. There's digital manipulation. Endless scrolling on social media keeps users in a dopamine loop. Push notifications trigger urgency and fear of missing out. Algorithms designed to exploit emotional reactions for engagement. And retargeting ads that follow you even after you've gone off of the page. Loads of people experience the fact that they talk about something or they search something on Google, and then all of a sudden, a couple of hours later, they're seeing an advertisement for this random cup that I Googled. I just wanted to figure out. So neuromarketing and behavioral design. Ads tested with eye tracking and brain scans to detect engagement. We see this with Cocomelon. That documentary showed all sorts of methods in which the producers have engaged kids in a manipulative manner to addict them. So micro animations and colors to trigger and urge clicks, like buy now. Buttons are pulsating on the screen. Use of scarcity and urgency tactics like only 3 left or sale ends in 2 hours. And then we got brand psychology, associating products with an identity or status. And this is absolutely fundamental to the idea of a free market capitalism. You have to have brands to be able to convey a consistency in products over time and over space. So Nike is an idea of athletic, Apple is creative, and Tesla is like a visionary. Branded packaging as lifestyle signaling. People don't just buy an iPhone. They don't just buy a phone, they buy an iPhone. So logo placement on clothing and bags, you pay to advertise for them. Think about that. You're purchasing a product, maybe it's got a t-shirt like this, or a shirt, and you've got their logo on it. That's just free advertisement. You're walking around with that advertisements saying, oh, look at me, I buy this product, maybe you should buy this product, same thing. So there's media and there's cultural engineering taking place all the time. So TV and movies shape desire and aspirations. What does success look like? And this is a big problem that LiberSeed really goes into and dives into. There's product placement in shows and films subtly to normalize consumption. You see the change over time in the Hollywood movies about what it is we should be buying. Is our aspirational goal for a car, is it a Mustang or is it a big Land Rover 4x4 because they're going through the Amazon rainforest? Celebrities and influencers used to create parasocial relationships that mimic trust, and this is what love looks like. This is what fun looks like. It's manufactured narratives presented to you in a way that we idolize it. Then we've got health and pharmaceuticals. So medicizing normal states like sadness is now classed as depression. And I'm not saying that depression doesn't exist, but these days sadness becomes depression, able to medicate it, able to profit from it. Relentlessness, like overactiveness in kids as well, automatically gets labeled as ADHD. Again, medicated, profited. Ads designed to create fear around aging, disease, or imperfections. Lobbying to push medications into everyday treatment plans, even when unnecessary. And funding scientific studies to shape outcomes that support drug sales. Imagine this goes across every industry, but imagine you're a big pharmaceutical company and you have a product that you want to sell. It's very easy to go out and find somebody who's willing to take a large payment, a scientist to take a large payment to produce a study with an outcome that benefits you, that points to this is the pill for you to take to lose weight or whatever it might be. There's food psychology. There's the use of salt, sugar and fat combinations to create a hyper-palatable, addictive food. You see that in everything. Just read the labels. Artificial flavouring mimic real food but trick your biology into craving more. Brightly coloured packaging to target children and trigger excitement. And marketing highly processed food as a natural or a light product when really it's just a bunch of chemicals. There's scarcity and urgency tactics. Flash sales, countdown timers, limited edition drops to trigger panic buying. There's only X left in stock to manufacture scarcity. And Black Friday and holiday seasons, Amazon Prime Day, they're engineered to spike consumer frenzies and make you go out and buy things that you actually don't have the money for, don't even want, and you buy it to impress people you don't even like. So psychology of pricing. Think about charm pricing, like £9.99 instead of $10. Mix in the different places, currencies there, but it applies to everybody no matter what it is. It's about the number. So bundling to make you buy more than what you intended. You buy 3 for 2, and you only wanted 1 in the first place, and you end up buying 3. There's subscription models that auto-renew and rely on forgetfulness or guilt to retain customers. People don't want to call up, and usually when you want to cancel a subscription, it's always very long-winded, or you have to call some company with hardly anybody on the other end of the line. And it ends up being it's really, really, really easy to purchase the subscription and sign up for it. But it's super difficult and long-winded to actually get rid of that subscription. So free trial tactics, so they're designed to get your card information. So 1 month free subscription, and that's it. They've got your information. They already got you locked in, so you feel guilty once you want to try and exit it. And that guilt can be very subtle and almost subconscious. The gamification of consumerism, like loyalty points, badges, reward tiers, like playing a game, not shopping. Airline miles, coffee cards, and app check-ins condition return behaviour, and challenges or streaks that prey on habit loops and sunk cost bias. There's mass data and surveillance everywhere you go. There's cameras, there's cards in which, like club card points and vouchers, and all of it is to gain information of consumer behaviors, and those consumer behaviors, they're not getting the data to be able to sell the data as such. What they're doing is the data allows them to do product placement. The data allows them to know what colors engage you more as an individual. And so stores tracking potentially your walk patterns, your purchases, your dwell time, product placement on the shelf. Does that cause you to purchase something more? How much is on the shelf? AI-driven marketing that adapts to your emotional state and behavior, and data sold to advertisers who create psychographic profiles to manipulate behavior. That's what Facebook's about. That's why it's such a big business. But you're using a free service. Like, you are the product in a sense of how you engage with the platform. And this is not just Facebook, this is a lot of places. How you engage with the platform, what you do is building up a profile of you and you in a group of lots of people, and then understand that behavior. We can then, the company can then say to one advertiser who's willing to pay a lot of money and say, well, these are sorts of people looking at this sort of place, spending this much time, you can advertise here, pay me this amount of money. So you are the product. What you do on there is the product in which you're selling, and that's how they're a profitable company. So algorithmic shaping of reality, this idea of search engines results skew to reflect what you're likely to click on, and not necessarily the truth. If you're searching for something, it's all about the engagement and getting you hooked onto that platform, like I just said about Facebook. Because if you're coming off of the platform, they're not getting any data of what you're doing, and so your search is not, the results of your search is not dictated by the actual truth or what you want to know or find out. It's about whatever's going to engage you the most. Personalized feeds that trap you in ideological echo chambers. So you could, TikTok is kind of the first thing for that, where you'll watch something, it'll build up a profile of what you like and what you're interested in, based on how long you spend on each video, based on what you like and what you engage with, comments and so forth, and then it'll just feed you back that same information. Facebook, as a contrast, years ago, it used to be that you had your friends group, and you could see what your friends posted, and that's pretty much what you saw. And if you liked a page, like you liked Tom Cruise Facebook page, then maybe it will show you some of that. But now it's all converted over to, if you like it and you're engaged with it, it's just going to keep feeding you that. And that's got its own biases and echoes to your own ideological ideas. You're never going to get experiences or challenging points of view, which is a problem. So influencer culture turned into lifestyle aspiration traps. Everybody's showing their perfect life, and that's just not normal. Then you've got debt normalization. So buy now, pay later culture feeds consumerism and delays consequences. This is all with short-term gratification, prioritized over long-term planning. Society encourages car loans, credit cards, mortgages, building a life on borrowed money. Imagine you doing that in an off-grid community, and you got some potatoes, and you got to keep some potatoes, and you got to not eat them, so that next season you can plant them. So saving for the future is built into the fundamental basics of life. So when we borrow money, we're borrowing from our future selves. We're taking some money away from the future, and that doesn't work in reality. But we've caused it to temporarily work until there's a big financial crash or a huge depression, and that becomes very complicated for a lot of people. Companies profit from your inability to delay gratification, and so you can use credit cards in practically every single place on the planet now, and that's not a coincidence. There's reasons why there's kiosks when you go into a McDonald's, because you tend to spend more money on that, and there's no cash for that, because cash, you're exchanging money for your product, and in the exchange you're giving something and then you're taking your product, and that triggers a negative emotion. It actually triggers in your brain as pain. And so then you've got the card where you're tapping your card, or you're entering the card and enter your PIN. Now you take your card back, whereas the money you gave to them, and then you also take the product. which is fantastic because you feel like you've not lost anything. And then the next step on that is when you've got contactless on your card or your phone, and you wave it around like a magic wand, and that's no resistance to purchase, and you're purchasing without even your own money. So society now has built an environment, and urban planning really changes and manipulates behaviour as well. So cities are designed for shopping and transportation, not for human flourishing, not for what you need. There's a lack of green spaces, lack of silence, lack of space for real community connection. The physical world is dominated by advertisement, logos, and stores. Think of everything that kind of exists is all created by companies with incentives to sell you products either now or subliminally put the idea in your mind so that later and one day you purchase something from them. And there's no commons, so only spaces where you pay to exist there. You might want to go sit in a restaurant, or you can't drink your own drink, you have to purchase a drink there. That's a form of paying. There's institutional indoctrination. So schools normalize competition, hierarchy, and obedience rather than wisdom, self-reliance. Now, I'm not saying that obedience or competition or hierarchy in itself is a bad thing, and competition, because you're working within a substructure of rules, that is actually a form of cooperation. But when we're thinking about it in terms of LiberSeed, where we're trying to create the environment that's best created that we are supposed to exist in, how our body thrives to exist in, then the school is not orientated towards that. It's orientated towards bringing up kids to be able to go and work in factories, work behind a desk, listen and be obedient, know enough to work the job, not know enough to ask questions. So the curricula designed to feed the system and not challenge it. And college is like a debt slavery for a career path often built on unquestioned systems. So the myth of freedom, you can choose between 300 cereal brands, all owned by about 3 different companies, and you're free to speak, but only if it aligns with the platform or the community or the political guidelines or political correctness, and you are empowered to buy, but only with wages from a system that exhausts you. Your money is going to inflate away. You're allowed to go and buy. You've got the freedom to buy things and do whatever you want with the money. But at the end of the day, you're going to pay your taxes, and they're going to inflate the currency, so you're going to get less and less and less. Social status and identity traps. You're not just buying clothes, you're buying a social identity. Status increasingly measured by what you consume and not who you are. That's why this idea of living off grid, where you're producing all your own things, you don't get all of that manipulation, and you're not trying to, I'm going to wear something specific today because this is how I want to influence someone else's opinion of me. This leads to chronic anxiety, potentially depression, and comparison culture. And the biggest trick of all, you're told that all of this is just life and that it's normal. That wanting to opt out makes you a weirdo. This idea of LiberSeed is, people think I'm strange. People think, you're a hippie, you're a prepper, you're a conspiracy theorist. But LiberSeed says, see it for what it is. This isn't a system. It's a web of control, initiatives, and psychology. And every step you take away from that, by growing a plant, by deleting an app, by building a community, or learning to live slower, is a step back towards autonomy, sanity, and real humanity. So tell me what you think about that. This is a long video, and I'm really pleased if you actually got to the end of it. But there's so much manipulation in society, and everything's done so you can purchase something later. And I just listed a bunch of things, gone through them, and you tell me what you think. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.